Alrighty. Everybody ready? Okay. So as Colette kind of pulls away from the curb, she starts to make her way back. Um, there seems to be tension in the car. Everyone's like a little on edge in their own way, I guess. There's a lot of shit has happened. This on a lot of shit that none of you have experienced before. And probably weren't expecting any of this to happen.
To say the least.
No.
Um, so the cemetery that you guys are heading to is St. Louis Cemetery 3. So this is the third branch of that cemetery that you guys were originally at the first one. And that's where you kind of found all of the stuff. And now you guys are heading to the third.
As we are in the car, I am going to ask Sparta for his phone so I can look up the same thing that I've done for the other two, which is kind of like see if there are monuments of importance that people go and look at specifically that have a historical meaning. And if there are, like, what are they related to? And like a little bit, I guess, of the history of the monument itself, if you may. So
Okay.
that's what Eden is going to be doing in the car ride.
Stop. My God, my cats. Why are my cats so bad when I'm doing this? Like, I swear, they sleep when I'm doing anything else. But as soon as I start doing this, they are horrible.
Of course,
They
it's the
literally
cat life.
just cat fought, like
It's the
scratching
cat
each
life.
other's face. Like, my cats. I don't understand. I don't get it. Okay. Anyway. So you're gonna look up the cemetery. So
Yeah.
as you guys are driving along and you are looking up the different cemeteries, or the for anybody in this particular cemetery, there's nothing that comes back of any significance. It is this is another cemetery that's open to the public, but it does have a close time. Like the other one seemed to be like open freely, that second one that you guys went to. But this one actually closes at a certain time at night. So right now it's closed. So there shouldn't be anybody inside of it.
Hmm.
Um, and there's nothing in particular that comes up in your searches. There's no like famous people. There's no any particular history. Um, it's a fairly large cemetery. And just based off of like some of the pictures that as you're like scrolling through, it looks like the second one that you guys went to. It's pretty well kept,
It's a little bit more modern, maybe. Like the
right.
stuff is not as historically like dense there. Like
Exactly.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's like the vibe that you're getting. Even like the tombs themselves, just in the pictures that you're scrolling through, they look a lot newer. They're not like really, really, really old looking. Like there are a few of them, of course, but
Mhm.
for the most part, it does seem like a newer, modern one of these trio.
And how big is the wall around it?
This one, it has like a mixture of like a wall and a iron like gate. The entrance is like a big like archway that just has like an iron gate closing for the when the hours at night when they close, they just close this iron gate.
I look at Alejandro and I say, need a boost.
You're muted.
Why don't you go and break down the gate? Seems like you're a professional at that.
Nix is like
I mean, I
laughing.
could, but it might make a lot of noise.
Probably
I'm gonna
not the best
activate
idea.
sense the unseen in the as we step out of the car.
Yeah, I'm gonna reactivate Eyes of the Beast.
Okay. Since the unseen is free, right?
Yeah.
No rouse check. Okay.
3 successes.
Okay. Well, you haven't gotten anywhere to see anything. So you guys aren't in the cemetery yet. You just parked. The cemetery is a lot bigger than the previous ones that you guys have been at. So it might take a little bit of time to walk around and look about. Are you guys going to stay in a group, or are you going to just do your thing and split off like you kind of have been?
I think we could maybe do groups of 2, girls and boys.
Okay. Okay. So, one second. Okay, who's going left and who's going right?
We'll go left.
Okay, guys go left, and you two veer off to the right. Okay, so you kind of like walk in, you find your way in. It's not super hard for you guys to find your way into these types of things. And you both kind of split off and start making your way. And I'm assuming like the goal would kind of be like to loop around and come back toward kind of in the middle and meet up back in the middle. So, you already activated, both of you guys have already activated. Okay, so Sparta, you can see no problem at all. This is kind of like the second one that you guys went to. There's a lot more light. Some of like the light posts are off because this is their like closing hour, so it's not as lit up as it would be if it was open. But for the most part, it's not super dark in this cemetery as you guys are walking about. Second, I need to get my notes up.
And yeah, Eden is doing what she was doing before. So Whitson, no, what is it? To detect? I already did the roll. Do I need to do it again to search? Yeah? No?
No, it's fine. I'll count the first one that you did.
Did you want me to do Wits and Awareness?
Yeah, if you're looking about. So as you guys are walking, I'll do 2 separate groups since you guys aren't together at this particular moment. You're walking about. I'll start with the guys, and there's not anything in particular that's sticking out to you in this moment. There are no people around like the previous cemeteries that you guys have been to. It's just you guys, eerily silent as you're walking around. Everything looks like you would expect it to look in a cemetery as you're sort of turned your back towards the gals and you're making your way around. And same with Colette and Nyx. As you're kind of looking around to see if there's any supernatural things happening, you're not seeing anything in this particular moment. Not as you're walking in this sort of like entrance area. I'd say that it's fairly long. Like you kind of are in like this main little bit, and then it kind of turns inward, and you'd be able to make a circle through this pretty easily. Are you guys like walking at normal speed? You're not.
I'm trying to like be carefully, like not loud or, obviously I'm not like stealthily
Tiptoeing.
walking around, but I'm not trying to run either. I'm trying to like take in as much as I can as I'm moving.
Right. Trying
Same.
to be conscious of how much noise you're making.
Yeah.
Okay. Nyx, Colette kind of is a few paces ahead of you. She's not being loud per se, but I would say she's probably not being as careful as you are. Behind her, she's just like, let's just fucking You guys see this madness I'm dealing with?
I am sorry, but like your cat zoomed on top of that thing and then
Looked
he
around and zoomed.
aggressively licked himself once, looked up over to the camera, licked himself twice, and then bolted off again. I couldn't deal with it.
God.
I'm sorry, guys.
I saw it too, and I was just like, he's fucking. Are you okay? I think Arwen scratched him. And he's freaking out. Tuki. Because he's literally sitting there, like, trying to reach his back like this and lick his back.
I mean, if, a
Took.
bitch tries.
That's why you don't mess with her. How many times do I have to tell you? You get hurt. Anyway. He's probably going to run around. His tail is like... He's very upset about something. Anywho,
sorry.
Colette is ahead of you. She's not.
Yes,
she's
a few
not.
steps ahead of me.
Okay.
I can't. Guys, give me a second to make sure he's like okay, because he's acting crazy. Two, come here, baby. Come here. What's wrong?
I love cats so much. They have so much chaotic energy. I love it. I fucking love it so much. Chaos, 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 chaos. Also, Kitty is a Malkavian. Yes. Cats. Cats are Malkavians for sure.
Oh boy.
Squirrels and chaos. Oh my god. My cats are kind of the same. Mia sometimes does the most. Okay, I think that some shit is about to go down.
Same. Definitely something's about to go down.
And I'm scared.
Oh God. Something's definitely wrong
see.
with him. He's like breathing all weird, and he like squeaked when I touched him. I don't know.
Maybe he saw ghosts.
Right?
I think Arwen, when they did their little whatever, scratched him, and he's just freaking out
And
about
now
it.
he's freaking out. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, golly. That was nuts. That I thought he was just gonna sit on the top like he always does, but he was like, nope, drive by. No. Okay, I gave him some treats. Maybe that'll distract him and calm him down.
All right.
Anyway, for like the 5th time of explaining what's going on. Okay, boys. Okay, you guys aren't seeing anything as you're kind of like making your way. No one's at hunger 3, correct? Everyone's
I'm at 1.
2 or below.
I'm at 2.
Okay.
2.
All right. As I feel like you guys probably be making time around like the same pace, and you're kind of circling around. As you kind of both groups are circling around and then making your way down this like further back aisle of these caskets, I guess, or tombs, the smell hits you before anything else. And Colette is going to, it will hit Colette before it would hit you. But all of you, as you're making your way down this further row, you get a sudden whiff as the cool night air blows by, and you immediately recognize the smell. and it is the smell
Blood.
of blood. And it is coming from in front of you. So, none of you guys are in risk of frenzying, but a few of you are, you're a little hungrier than you'd probably
Oh,
like
Nyx
to be.
definitely growls like as soon as she smells it.
Yeah,
She's hungry.
you can
She's
also
hungry.
hear this kind of noise come from Colette in front of you. And she is also pretty hungry, so she wants whatever
It's
this
smelling really good
smelling
right now.
real nice.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're slowly you can see each other sort of in the distance, kind of making your way to the middle of this area. And as you're walking closer, the smell is becoming stronger and stronger as you close in the area. After everybody just still walking normal. Colette's kind of picked up speed a little bit. She's not walking quite as slow as she was. Yeah. She's like walking faster.
I would have picked up speed as soon as I caught the whiff. I would start picking up speed to try to track it down.
Okay.
I'm gonna take out my double blades.
Her cool ass daggers. Okay.
Yes.
So Colette's kind of picked up speed. She's walking a little bit faster now. So if you haven't picked up speed either, then Colette's gonna start distance. There's gonna be a growing distance between you and Colette as you walk toward this smell, whatever you're smelling. Let me get my notes up. Okay. So you're at this point you're kind of following your noses because that's kind of leading you to where this smell is coming from. And you guys are going to find the source of the smell before the girls because it's a little bit closer to where you guys are. And you two, as you're kind of looking, I'm assuming you're really looking around now because there's a smell of fresh blood coming from somewhere really close by. And eventually, you see a tomb. You come up to a tomb, and you can kind of see little, what would resemble bloods, like blood splats. And that kind of like alerts your attention to that. And you follow that along and it leads you to a tomb. And the first thing that you guys are going to see from your side and from your angle is you're going to see that somebody has written something in blood on the side of this tomb.
I'm activating my Dawn right now.
Okay. So is Dawn a rouse check? I can't remember. Daunt. No, cost is free. Okay. So Sparta, as you're walking alongside of Alejandro, that familiar feeling that you've felt multiple times this night of Alejandro and also from Colette, of that intense feeling that you can feel kind of change beside him as Daunt is activated in Alejandro as you two make your way up to the side of this tomb. That you can now see blood has been written. That's all you can see at this particular moment. But as you kind of inch closer and closer, you see that there is a body leaned up, sort of kind of sitting slumped up against the wall of this tomb. And just first impression, like first looking at it, they're not moving. They look like they could be dead, but you'd have to get closer and sort of inspect. But that's what you see at first. So what are you guys wanting to do?
I'm gonna activate resilience first.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna look at Alejandro and say, What the fuck?
I'm getting my phone and just texting immediately.
Okay, I'll get a little
Run.
closer and see.
Did you say run? Colette runs
Yeah,
the other
that's
way.
the only, that's
Sorry.
that's the only thing he writes on the message. Run,
Just run.
body.
God, that's a bad thing to text Colette tonight. She's like unpredictable. Literally all you see in the distance is Colette turn around and book it. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so
Oh my god.
Colette looks at her phone because Nyx doesn't have one right now. And she says, oh, well, Colette's ahead of her. Okay, so Colette and Nyx aren't even with each other. You see Colette start jogging toward where the guys are.
Well, if I see that she starts jogging, I'm definitely gonna start running. I'm not activating anything right now, but
Okay.
apart from sense the unseen.
Right.
And I'm gonna get closer to kind of investigate a little.
Are you gonna try and investigate this body to see if this person is alive?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and do a wits and investigation. Your specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think we might have a problem.
Oh no.
So
You're gonna kill every time you investigate a body. You're like, go, 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 go.
well, no,
Why?
I got 3 successes,
Okay.
but I got a 1 on the hunger die.
That's okay. It doesn't matter.
With a dead body?
Well, you got 3 successes. The only time it matters is if you don't get. Yeah. You're fine. You're totally okay. This time.
This
time. Okay.
3 successes. Hallelujah. He did not manhandle.
He's not gonna
the
mangle
fucking
this body. I think this is the first body that Sparta is investigating that he's not going to like basically tear apart.
Literally break. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hallelujah.
Good job, Sparta. You're learning. Okay, so as you're like looking, you kind of creep toward the body, like slowly to see if it's moving or gonna react or anything. And as you're looking it over, their neck has been severed. And the closer you get, the stronger that smell is. And it smells good. And you want it. And you want it desperately. And there is fresh blood. It's not even quite dried. Like there are some bits on like their shirt where it's dried, but it is pretty fresh. Just from your basic knowledge of what blood would look like, this didn't happen that long ago. And also, as you are investigating, you see yet another crescent moon on the side of their neck, indicating that they are yet another thin blood. Okay, Colette and Nyx. Colette and Nyx are kind of jogging up. From your side of it, which Colette would see first, but Nyx quickly after as you're catching up and gaining on this tomb in question. From your side, there is also blood. And as you're getting closer and closer in view and kind of seeing where the guys are huddled, you can see as well that there is something written on this side of the tomb. And slowly but surely, as you get closer, there is yet another body, also slumped against this side of the tomb. Colette is gonna immediately go to the body and look at the body.
What is on the tomb?
Yeah,
What's written on the tomb?
We'll get to that in one moment. Investigation is 4. Okay.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, 3 successes. Okay, so Colette's gonna investigate this body and look at it. And just similar to what Sparta found, Also, their neck has been severed, and there is a crescent moon on their neck as well. So there are 2 dead thin bloods slumped against this wall with something written in very likely their blood on the side of this tomb. So, Nix, you're going to read the side? Okay. So on your side, it says, I told you I was watching, and it's signed IY. That's what you see on your side. Is anybody else looking at the wall and investigating the wall on the other side?
As they're like investigating the thing, I'm going to obviously move around the tomb. So.
Okay. You reading the other side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the other side, it says, even the strongest will crumble. Also, one thing to notice about the tomb, now that you guys are kind of like averted your attention to the tomb, especially Nix, as you're looking at the tomb has been badly damaged. And it looks new. It doesn't look like this is damaged from time. Like the tomb itself, it looks pretty new. It doesn't look really old. It doesn't look like how Marie's looked, where it looks like it's been there for a couple hundred years. This is a fairly new, probably less than 100 years old, you'd guess, just looking at it. Really beautiful marble, really beautiful design, like along the top and everything as you're going around, but it's been cracked, almost as if somebody has taken like a large sledgehammer and has like gone around this tomb. There's big broken pieces that have fallen to the ground off of the marble that's there, and you're kind of going around. Sparta, are you looking at the tomb as well, now that you kind of know your guy's dead?
Yeah.
Okay, so like everyone's kind of collectively just looking at this tomb. I'd say by this point, Sparta and Colette, you two have gathered toward the front of the tomb, and you're looking at like the front side of the tomb. And Sparta, as you begin to kind of survey the front of this tomb, you see a large crack that's kind of almost from floor to ceiling of this tomb, and it's pretty big. It's taller than you, so it's got to be probably about 8 feet. It's a pretty large tomb. And you see a large crack going up, and as you sort of trace the crack toward the top, you see as the crack goes directly through an O, and you read the name, Doran. And directly underneath it, engraved in this beautiful marble, it says, "Our strong and beloved." And collectively, you two, as Colette and Sparta, looking how Sparta's looking right now, and you hear Colette whisper under her breath, "Holy fuck."
This is a problem.
What? So there's the name on the tomb is Doran.
Doran.
And what's the message?
Under the blood message, or what was written, like engraved on them?
What was written engraved?
It says, our strong and beloved.
Our strong.
That's like the engraving on the.
Okay.
And the message that was written in blood on one side.
I was watching IY, and even the strongest will crumble.
Yes.
Is there anything on the other sides?
No.
Okay.
After Colette sees this, Colette is going to just like slowly back up, and she's going to just have her phone to her ear. She's calling someone.
I look at Sparta and Alejandro. I can tell that Sparta is definitely being affected by whatever is happening. Well, obviously,
I'm literally staring at the the tomb right now, like not even paying attention.
Is part of what's happening.
I think this is Prince Doran's tomb.
Mm-hmm.
Alejandro, you wouldn't know this history. Unless you've met somebody that really likes you in the city of New Orleans that was going to tell you about their history, you wouldn't know who Prince Doran was necessarily or what happened to him, per se.
Alejandro just makes his way out. He's like...
Who's... I thought the princess Katalina. Who's Doran?
Before Katalina, there was another prince. His name was Prince Doran. He was killed, and Katalina took over.
Well, this seems problematic.
We need to find who did this and make them pay.
There's nothing magical about, like, you know, like with sense the unseen. There's nothing like, for example, blood magic or anything. It's just like,
nope,
a message written in blood, probably, of the people that
a destroyed tomb and a message written in blood. That's all you can see.
Yeah,
nothing supernatural happening. So after a few minutes of low conversation on the phone, Colette is going to step forward. She looks really serious. If she could be pale, she'd be pale. And she's going to look at Nyx and she says, I need you to check this place every inch as quickly as you can. Then she's going to look at Sparta and Alejandro and said, check the immediate area. If there's anybody, capture them. And then she's just gonna turn and start walking as quickly, not briefly, but slowly jogging as she's like looking through tombs, because it's very clear that whoever did this was just here very recently and they might be in the vicinity. So that's the instruction that you guys have been given, is to check the area to see if there's anybody around.
The first thing I'm going to do is activate Soaring Leap and just jump as high as I can straight up and just kind of look around and see if I notice anybody.
Cool. I dig it.
That's cool. I'm going to use premonition.
Okay. You're not going to check the perimeter?
I mean, aren't they checking the perimeter?
Yeah, but you have fleetness. You could do it in probably 3 seconds. They can't run as fast.
Fleetness. Alejandro's gonna activate fleetness.
Okay.
Alright, same. Let's rush check this shit.
Does Soaring Leap... Okay, no, Soaring Leap doesn't have... Okay, so Sparta, you're gonna just jump straight up in the air as high as you can go? Okay.
And then look around and see if I see
really hungry.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so Sparta, as you jump straight up and take a second to look around, do a wits and investigation as you're kind of in the air, very rapidly looking around, and we'll see what you see. So you failed your Alice check and you're at 3 hunger, then you need to do a roll power to see if you frenzy. So roll for all of your leftover willpower, which I think is 5 for you.
Yeah, I haven't used willpower.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Two successes.
2 successes? That's exactly what you needed. Okay, so you want to feed desperately. You really, really, really do, but you're able to quiet your mind and focus on what you're trying to get done and the beast does not take over. Okay, Alejandro, are you activating fleetness as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So rouse check.
One success, one fail.
Rouse check. Rouse check is just
No,
one
it's just
dice.
one.
Success.
Okay.
10.
So you also are good to go, and you can take off and do whatever you're doing. How many dice did you, or successes did you get for your look around as you're flying through the air?
3 successes, 1 fail.
3 success. All right. So as you're looking, you can see Colette and you can see people on the outside perimeter, but you don't see anybody inside of this actual place where you guys are. At the very brief moments that you're kind of in the air and then you come soaring back down and land. Nyx and Alejandro, you guys are just running the perimeter to see. Okay. It doesn't take you long to get around the perimeter. Neither one of you. You guys can do that pretty easily. And then are you guys going to meet back up at the tomb when you're done, I'm assuming? Okay. So perimeter check, you guys don't find anything. Colette is still out running because she's not as fast as you guys. So you guys kind of come back and you know that the area is clear. And you didn't see anything. So you 3 are back at the tomb. Colette is still like out looking, doing whatever she's doing because she's slow. She has to run at a normal speed.
Hungry. I am hungry.
Fuck. And we're not exactly in a spot where we can find you something to eat. As soon as Colette gets back, we'll figure something out. But right now, we need to figure out who did this and make them pay.
The thing is,
sorry.
Is he looking at us right now? I mean, we only searched inside.
We're not breaking into this tomb.
I'm not even talking about breaking in, but
out of character, as I do have the blood bond, and it's clearly my sire because it's signed IY. Do I feel anything different
as you're like standing near this tomb?
Yeah, like in the place as I was like going around.
No, not necessarily. You're not. There's not any like feeling that would indicate you. Really, the only thing you're feeling right now is hungry.
Yeah, right now I'm fucking hungry. I wanted to do premonition, but I don't think she would be able to like even concentrate right now. Like it's just too new for her. Like
yeah.
I don't think she would be able to get there, honestly. I mean, we can like put a super hard difficulty if you want.
Whatever you want to do. It does require another rouse check, right?
It's free or 1 rouse check depending, but like this would probably
be aroused.
Would be a rouse check.
It's up to you. Whatever you want to do, I'll do with you. If you want her to try and look and see what she can see, then we'll do it. If you feel like she would withhold because of how she's feeling, then that you just make a judgment call on how she would be feeling right now.
She's hungry.
Okay, so she's not going to do it.
It's like literally growling very low. like continuously.
Okay, so I'd say a few minutes probably has gone by. Colette comes back. She's a lot slower than you two. So she's like, did you guys find anything? Anything around? Any people? Anything else that looks like we need to look at?
Couldn't find anybody in the cemetery.
Okay.
So who this?
What?
You guys are freaking out. Like Sparta was like mouth wide open. You stormed off and started talking on the phone. Who's the tomb?
Sparta already explained it.
He'd walked off, actually.
Oh, I thought he was.
Yeah, Alejandro walked off.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he was still standing next to the tomb. Okay,
I
my
look
bad.
at Alejandro and I say, this is the tomb of Prince Doran. He was a great man.
Yeah, Alejandro, apparently it was the prince before Catalina. He was killed and Catalina took over.
Did you do
That's
this? Like, did you actually do that?
Yeah. Who?
Lindsay's
Sparta's
gonna
still distracted
Lindsay's
and
gonna
kind of-
look at you and
Lindsay?
Daunt. I
Colette?
mean, sorry, Colette's gonna look at you and Daunt is immediately activated, and she's gonna say, "That, don't do that when Lindsay gets here.
I don't.
You don't need to say
know.
anything else." And she just
I look at Colette and I say, we're going to find who did this and make them pay.
doesn't take long.
Colette,
Go ahead.
can you tell Lindsay to bring me somebody to eat?
It's not how it works. This isn't McDonald's. Sorry. You're just gonna have to figure it out. There's been plenty of nights that we've been in your situation and we've been hungry and we've had to figure it out. Tonight's not the night for drive-through. Dawn is still activated, by the way, so Colette is very angry and intimidating at this point. Her anger isn't necessarily focused at you. That's not like the sense that you get. Like, you know what I mean? But she's just like,
oh no, I don't. I'm not adding anything.
now's not the time, Nick. It doesn't take long for company to arrive to your location. Whatever Lindsay was doing, she is no longer busy. Her and a whole bunch of people show up, just like what happened with the cemetery. You guys aren't very close to like the perimeter, so you wouldn't necessarily see what's going on outside, but you can assume when all of these people show up with her that this whole area has also been kind of blocked off like it was earlier in the night, so that you guys can ensure have privacy. Hold on, I need to pull up Lindsay's character sheet. Lindsay, the badass herself. Okay. So Lindsay arrives, Lev alongside her, accompanied by quite a handful of other they look like Lev, they're very big man. Very big men.
Very big men.
Very big men. A couple of women that are also kind of big. Just like bodyguards, so to speak. And she shows up, and when she kind of walks up, she doesn't say anything or acknowledge you guys, and she just goes and is kind of inspecting the tomb, looking at it, seeing what exactly is going on, kind of taking everything in. But she's kind of quietly doing that. And Lev is the one who kind of walks over and starts to talk to you guys. And he asks when you guys arrived and like how long ago it was that you guys arrived at the place. He's just gonna address the group. Colette's kind of like she looks kind of dazed. She's like watching Lindsay look around and kind of trying to read Lindsay, I guess. She's paying a lot of attention to Lindsay as Lev talks to you guys. So Lindsay, Colette doesn't speak up. She's just quietly staring at Lindsay.
And I'm still distracted as well.
Okay.
I think we've been here for like, you would say like half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that.
Roughly. By the time it took them to get here and everything, I'd say, yeah, probably. And is it just these two? Is this anywhere else? Like, you guys have already
Not that
checked?
we could find.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lindsay wants the whole area locked down. So I'm not sure what she wants you guys to do as of yet. She didn't say much. But that's kind of where we're at until she tells us otherwise. But you guys stay put and we'll see what is coming next. Lev looks uncomfortable. Someone who's been very confident, like every time you've seen him, he looks a little kind of like same vibes Colette's giving you. Like these two people that are usually really confident, like on their game, like they're kind of like, oh God, what is gonna happen? They're both just a little stumped with what's going on.
I'm gonna like follow Lev just for a second and be like, Lev, I am so sorry. I know that I'm super annoying and this might not be very appropriate, but I'm very hungry and I don't know what to do with myself. I never felt this hungry before.
He's just gonna like look at you for a moment and be like, you're gonna have to manage it.
Do you do? Is there something I can do now? Is it gonna go? What happens if I'm? Am I gonna be okay?
I can't predict the future. If I could, I would have known this was coming. You're just gonna have to focus on something else until it's time. I can't bring somebody here. It's not something that we can do right now.
Okay, I'm sorry. And she'll just like go by the tomb.
Okay.
And sit down.
Okay. By the tomb where all of the blood is. Oh, she's torturing herself. Okay. Okay. Lev is gonna like walk away and he's kind of like huddled up with the little bodyguard people. And they're kind of like, you can hear like a low murmur of conversation between them. Colette has kind of, because she had originally had backed away from the tomb. She is like now sitting against the back of like the tomb that is like kind of across, and she's just kind of like sitting there watching because she doesn't really know what she should be doing right now, and she's just waiting for instruction.
I'm gonna do it. She
Premonition?
thought about it enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it. God, I hope you don't fail this rouse check.
8.
Ooh, thank God. All right. Rouse check is fine.
I swear to God, I didn't want to do it because I'm like, she's gonna just like attack somebody over there and she's gonna get blood bond and somebody's gonna end up murdering her and rip. Okay, 6, 6, so 2 for the. No, I have to do another one. Okay. It's fine. It's a 2, so and then 3. All right, 4 successes.
4 successes? Okay. So, what is her mind focusing on?
I want to focus on what happened.
Like, what happened
like the
to...
events that, like, led to whatever the fuck we're seeing right now. Like,
Okay.
I want to understand, like, what went down in this place.
In this particular crime scene, so to speak.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Like, what the fuck? Like, was my sire like alone? Is he working with somebody? Like, were these people dead? Like, what happened? And maybe if there's a clue of like knowing like where my sire went.
Okay. All right. So, as you're quietly sitting there thinking about this, your mind begins to shift in what's becoming a familiar way to you these last few days. And slowly the world around you begins to fade away as you see what was not there previously. So the blood is gone, the bodies are gone. And you see three people kind of huddled together. They're standing in front of actually where you're sitting. That's where they're standing. And they're talking to each other in hushed voices. And it takes a few minutes for your mind to really focus to be able to hear their voices. But once again, you hear that distinctive European accent that you heard a few nights ago when you discovered your sire's name. And he's talking to the two victims. And they look a little bit afraid, but you get the sense that they're there willingly. He hasn't coerced them in any way to come with him to this place. And you hear him talking, and you begin to be able to make out the conversation between him and these two people. And he puts his hands on the shoulders of one of them and leans in and places his forehead against theirs. And they sort of stand there like this for a few moments, and then he pulls himself back. And he says, "What you are doing is a great honor." And before the person can respond, and very quickly, a long blade that oddly resembles the ones that you carry is pulled from out of somewhere, and their neck is slit. And he, for a moment, pulls them in close as you can hear this awful gurgle sound as the life slowly slips out of this person. And then everything is back to normal.
It takes her a second to like take it in, but once she's back to being where she's at, she looks around. Who's she seeing? Who's the closest to me? Who's the closest to the tomb?
Closest would probably be Lindsay, who's like kind of kneeled down on the side of the tomb investigating like the body. She would be like the closest to you, unless one of the guys has come back up to the tomb.
If I come back to it and I turn around and she's there, I will say something to her and be like, "Lindsay, I just used my premonition, and I think, well, this is definitely the works of my sire. And I think he was actually working with the people that are dead. The victims seem there willingly."
When you first started talking, she didn't look at you or kind of acknowledge you. She was listening but still doing what she was doing. But when you say that last bit, she kind of turns her attention towards you. You mean to say they willingly gave up their lives?
It seems like they weren't fighting at all. He almost held them afterwards.
she looks puzzled. Like, none of this makes sense. Like, she's like, what? And she's just like, okay,
Is there something he did this weird thing with them where he put his forehead against their own forehead? And he said, it's a great honor what you're doing.
doesn't ring a bell for me particularly. She's gonna kind of like stand up, and she's kind of glancing between you and like kind of taking in this whole thing. And she's now kind of staring at the words on this side of the tomb that say, even the strongest will crumble. She sort of just kind of, you can see like her mind has slipped away from what you're saying to the meaning and significance behind the words that were written. Like, this is a threat to the strongest that live among the city. And considering the little knowledge that you were given about Doran and who he is, he obviously used to be a prince. And you know from your 4-day education of being kindred that princes are very powerful people. And the significance of this tomb being attacked and these words being written, it's kind of all hitting you as you're watching Lindsay take it all in. You're seeing that like effect, that this person is threatening us and saying that even the strongest among us will not prevail. So that's kind of like the moment that you guys are having, and the kind of the realization of the severity of everything that's going on is kind of setting in for you in particular as this takes place. Is anybody else doing anything, or are you guys just standing, watching, chilling?
I was right up front just staring at the name, but if I saw her get up and move to talk to Lindsay, I'd walk over.
Okay, so you're kind of in the general area within earshot of this whole conversation. So that same realization, the realization already hit you immediately, but now you can kind of see it on Lindsay's expression, Lindsay's reaction, and there's just this energy among Lindsay that is like, okay, like, this person is declaring war, sort of. What about Alejandro? What's Alejandro up to? You're muted.
Alejandro's just doing his own thing. Like, he's backed off a little bit, just leaning against the wall, looking at the chaos and
Chilling.
just observing.
Okay.
Just observing.
Sort of like Colette. She's kind of withdrawn a little, just watching from a little bit of a distance. She's not up in the conversation. Okay, well, after the exchange with Nyx and Colette, Nyx and Lindsay, there's so many people in my head that I have to keep track of. Lindsay sort of steps away and is having a brief conversation with Lev and his people, all of her cute little bodyguards. They have a little powwow. And after a few moments, uno momento, trying to like picture, this is so hard to do sometimes because I'm like, okay, where is everybody? And like, what does everything look like? Okay, so Nyx and Sparta are just kind of sitting in front of the tomb, right? And then Colette's across the tomb, and Alejandro's somewhere, I would say, around where Colette would be. Okay. Lindsay and her posse are they're not super far away, but they're like a couple tombs over, standing huddled. And from the other direction, you guys can see someone and a group of people round the corner. And that awful, terrible feeling that you guys felt that first night when you were with Eden, Nyx, it hits you like a ton of bricks. And you can feel her before you can even see her. That's how radiant her presence is. Or before you know it's her, I guess I could say. And you can see almost gliding. The way she moves is unlike anything you've ever seen. It is not in any way, shape, or form human. It almost looks as if she's gliding like those ghosts that you encountered earlier in the night, as she slowly and quietly is making her way closer to you. And you know immediately that it's Katalina. And there are 4 people behind her, walking with her as she makes her way closer to this tomb. And as soon as she gets fairly close, she looks toward Nyx and Sparta and says, "Get out of here."
I grab Nyx's arm and I say, "Let's go."
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She literally like,
No problem. You got it. Okay. So
anyone
Alejandro,
want to be here?
Alejandro,
honestly.
you see, but she was directing it toward Nyx and Sparta, who were standing directly in front of it. So she didn't necessarily mean like everybody to get the fuck out. She wanted them to get away from this tomb. And she doesn't address anybody else, and she walks, and now she's standing square with the tomb, and she's just looking at it quietly. And like I said, that awful, it's not even the same intensity that you felt from Colette. It's so much worse than that. It is almost terrifying. Just this feeling that she radiates around her. And the murmurs that were happening with Lindsay and her posse have stopped. And it is just deathly quiet. No one's talking. No one's moving. If you guys breathed, you probably wouldn't be breathing. Everyone is just completely silent. After a few moments, Lindsay does like slowly make her way to Catalina's side. And I'm assuming everybody's a little distance away at this point. Yeah. They're like, I don't want anything to do with this. So you can hear like a low murmur of a conversation. You're not quite close enough to really make out what they're saying. And you can tell that they are talking in hushed voices. So you'd have to definitely get closer if you really wanted to know what they were saying. I'm getting the sense that no one really cares that much to eavesdrop on the prince herself.
Nope.
So they're kind of having their conversation, we'll say. After a little bit, no one's moving, like I said. No, unless they're being told to do something, nobody's doing anything at this point. Mm-hmm. Everybody is standing still, sort of at alert. Even Colette has like gotten to her feet because she was kind of like just chilling, and she's like kind of alert. She's like, okay, the prince is here. And after a few moments, Katalina turns and begins to walk the way she came with her little posse of people. And Lindsay then turns around and walks over to Colette and kind of waves like everybody kind of, I don't want to have to say this multiple times, so like everybody come here, sort of. She's kind of like waving everybody over, like it's okay, you can move again, like you can exist again, it's fine. She's leaving. And Lindsay gives the instruction that everyone is to meet at the Elysium. How do you?
Elysium.
Elysium. I was so close.
Elysium.
Everyone is to meet at the Elysium as soon as possible. And that's all she says. And she turns and goes with her people. So, you guys now have been given instruction to go to the Elysium. And you have no idea what's about to happen. Because you're like, okay, what's going on?
Nyx is definitely, you can tell that if she could get whiter, she would get whiter.
Just like Colette earlier.
The last time she was there, she almost got, so let's say not the best memories at the Elysium,
Mm-hmm.
I look at them and I say, I think first we need to get you something to eat before we go to the Elysium. The last thing we need is that getting the better of you there, of all places.
So just want to say, out of character, the only way she would lose control is if there was blood. Just because you're hungry doesn't mean you're just going to randomly lose control.
Yeah.
So,
or again, if I fail a rouse check. then-
Right. If she fails a rouse check. Well, if you fail a rouse check and then you frenzy because you have to do a willpower roll. So just out of character, so you have that knowledge. The only way she would...
I mean, we can wait.
Frenzy. Yeah.
For example, we can do it like at the end of the night.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
That would be the only way she'd lose control. And there's probably... Well, there might not be blood at this place that you're going. It is a safe place. Like, the place that you guys are going, like, basically everybody is forbidden from using their powers. Like, the only person that would really use their powers there would be the prince.
The prince, yeah.
So it's, the likelihood of something happening at this particular place is probably pretty low. If you guys were going anywhere else, then... Yeah, I would say probably.
Yeah, if we were continuing the investigations, probably that would have been a good idea.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just out of character nuggets for you.
Okay, I'll change it a little then. I'll say to her, first we need to get you something to eat because we're going to need you at your best.
That's cute. Colette's literally going to say that's cute. And then and then she's going to follow that up with saying Lindsay said as soon as possible, and then she's just gonna start kind of following the same direction as Lindsay and her crew went.
Yeah, Nyx will just like look at Sparta and be like, it's okay, we'll just do it later, it's fine. I don't want to
Poor Nyx. She's like, I just need a drink, dude, just give me a drink.
Okay, it's I'll deal with it.
Then we should get there now.
Okay, so like as you guys are making your way to the car, Lindsay stops Colette and has a brief little conversation because Colette is a few paces ahead of you guys. Per usual, it seems to always be her. She's just like, no bullshit, I'm going. You guys like hang back and have a little powwow, and Colette's like, peace. And once you guys get into the car, Colette tells you that you guys have been instructed to follow Lindsay, which Lindsay's powwow consists of 3 vehicles because she has lots of people with her. But you guys were instructed to follow them, and you are going to make your way back to the first cemetery that you guys were at. So you guys all get in the car, I'm assuming. Colette starts to drive away and follow them. Doesn't take you long. It's very close to where you guys were earlier in the night. And as you guys make your way up to this first cemetery, this like, it looks like the president is like in one of these vehicles, and you have like a bunch of like fake vehicles, so nobody knows which one is which. That's like what's going on right now with all these like blacked out SUVs. They all single filely line up along the road, and you can see the cemetery off to the right, and you can see Imani and her crew that are there, and you do see the tomb that was previously there has been destroyed, and there's nothing there where it previously was erected. You see Lev get out and go and meet with them, and then they all begin to follow him. And they all get into the cars with you guys. Well, with the cars ahead of you, and then you guys take off and start driving away. And it takes probably 10-15 minutes. You okay? I just saw
Something
her.
exploded out there. I don't know what the fuck was that. Sorry, guys.
That was just Sparta in another life pushing buttons.
Yeah, right.
It's like a 10-15 minute ride. So if there's any conversation that you guys want to have, now would probably be the time to have it.
I think Alejandro just grabs the AUX cable and puts on Ghostbusters theme song at this point.
Nyx is gonna ask about the tattoo on the neck.
Right, she doesn't know what that means. Okay. No, she doesn't know what that means. No one explained that to her.
So the tattoo on the neck, it means they're what we call a thin blood.
What are those?
You remember when they did the blood test to find out what generation you were?
Yes.
It's like that, but once you get up to the higher numbers, the kindred blood within you, or whatever it goes as, gets weaker and weaker to where at their point they're almost half human.
They're sort of, so it's called vitae. That's what our blood is called. Kindred blood. It's sort of like the vampiric power that is inside of them that makes us who we are is too weak to make them really who we are. So they're sort of in between life and death.
Oh.
And because of things with history, I don't have time to go into all of it right now, but basically a lot of older generations see these thin bloods as sort of a threat to who we are because they can kind of coexist in both worlds. Some of them even can eat food and sleep and go out in the sunlight. So a lot of cities, especially Camarilla cities, will either run them out of the city and make them not welcome here, will kill them, or will brand them like you've seen so that we can sort of keep track of them.
Do they have a place where they stay?
If they get into the good graces of the prince, perhaps. But it just depends on the city, really. They're not really allowed to, in the way that our city is set up, it's a lot harder for them to reside here.
Well, it looks like my sire might be hanging out with them. So if you guys knew the location and have branded these thin bloods, maybe we can go look.
It is definitely good information.
I mean, the thin bloods aren't very welcome among us, so they're likely to flock together and be in each other's circles. Maybe we could talk to a thin blood and see if they've heard rumors or
Very true.
Might know something.
What was his name? I don't remember.
Caleb.
He was with Caleb. What about Caleb?
We haven't been updated on Caleb since he was taken away.
If he's still alive, we need to talk to him.
I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Why are you laughing?
because those exact damn words I've been saying since day one.
Yeah, day one was kind of like a blur for me.
I've been saying it
That's
for a
fair.
long time, superstar. But
Again, I was about to get so
I would rather.
investigating somebody that was there with somebody that did this wasn't really like my top priority, but fair enough. Like, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I think it would be better if we just found somebody that wasn't being held captive by the prince, because I don't want to ask her.
I'm not asking for permission, but if you guys want to do it, be my guest.
What if we
That's why we haven't talked to him, you guys. He is under the control of the prince. Are you gonna go knock on her door and be like, hey, yo, can we have a conversation with Caleb? You know, like,
Well,
no.
maybe I can just like go and just maybe nudge at Lindsay, just be like, hey, maybe like he's working and then we can, you know,
You
know
can
what? Do
share
it.
ideas.
Like,
Yes.
go.
we could maybe, yeah, share an idea. That is great idea, Colette. We'll share an idea.
Yes.
Yes.
You should not
Great.
at all make it look like you're telling her how to do her job.
I am so good at that. I'll take care of it.
Perfect. Be my guest. You can have all the conversations you want to have.
Okay, guys, I got this.
I believe in you. Colette doesn't.
Don't piss her off.
Yes. First lesson of the day was don't piss Lindsay off.
Hey, boy.
Do you guys have any other questions about what happened back there and the significance of what happened back there? Does anybody need any explaining?
I mean,
I don't want to I don't know how inopportune this question would be, but what happened to the prince exactly?
Doran, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So, about 60 some years ago, well, it goes on before that, but anyway, during his reign, there was a bruja that showed up, Spanish bruja, that wanted to take over New Orleans. And he began to challenge Prince Doran. And there was a war for a while that took place for this land. And mysteriously, one day, Doran was murdered. And nobody knows who did it or why he died. And that is partly why his kind, and she kind of like gestures towards Sparta, are not welcome here. The death.
Whoever did it were cowards. My people wouldn't have done it.
Well, that's neither here nor there, but the death was blamed on the gangrel. And for many years following, a lot of gangrel were run out of the city or fled the city just to survive because they were a clan that was no longer trusted. There was another prince for a very short amount of time before Katalina took over. And she has been the prince ever since. But Doran was the prince of New Orleans for quite a few hundred years. So he was very beloved and very respected among the city. Now, I don't really know the history. I've kind of picked up pieces from being around Lindsay. There was some type of connection between Doran and Katalina. They're both adventurer. I'm not sure what the connection was, but the sense that I get from the stories that I've heard is that Doran was very important to Katalina.
Brother, sister, same sire.
I don't know.
Out of character, would I know about the connection between those two?
You would not.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I had to think if that would have been a conversation. No. You probably wouldn't have been told that information. So you wouldn't know that there was some type of connection between Katalina and Doran. So that is who he was, and he was pretty important to our kind, and especially the city.
I look back at them and I say he was a great man. He did a lot of work on social restructuring. He believed in more equality amongst each other. And he worked every day towards that end, and he was murdered for it.
Alejandro just looks away.
Sorry, out of character. Sparta would know actually a lot about his character as a person because of the stories that he was told. So he, like, Colette wouldn't know that because she probably hasn't been told the same type of stories that like Sparta would have heard. But so Sparta does have a pretty rich back history of like who Doran was and, you know, the type of person, quote unquote, he was.
And so nobody knows what really happened.
No, they never caught him.
Still remains a mystery to this day. And sadly, a lot of people still reap consequences from rumors that took place almost 70 years ago.
The Bruja that wanted to take over, was that kindred taken out?
The one that was fighting with Doran? I don't think he was killed. I think he left.
Escaped?
Yeah.
Do you think this could be related?
Perhaps.
Maybe they're trying
Doran
again.
died a long time ago.
Yeah, why would they come back now? I mean, it's not something to rule out for sure, but why go for so long?
Doesn't make sense.
I think what they did back there was meant to be a sign or like an insult. Because the one at the first graveyard, they actually put up that magic voodoo shit. They didn't do that at the second one. That one, it just looked like they were trying to damage it to send a message.
I mean,
but remember what they said before about the object needing to be destroyed. Was there something on that before it? I mean, destroyed. How destroyed does it have to be? Perhaps he broke what was ever on there so that we couldn't find it.
It could
I
be.
mean, I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know how this stuff works. One thing that I do remember about the Bruja, because this is another reason why Brujas aren't super trusted in this area either. But this particular guy, he worked with lupines and tried to partner with lupines to defeat Doran.
You mean
Oh, sorry. Werewolves. We call them lupines.
Oh, great. Right. I forgot about that. Was mhm. She'll just like go back and be like, fuck this shit.
He was definitely a traitor if he was working with werewolves.
Not the proudest moment for my clan, but kind of do what we want.
Don't be saying that crap. Do not insult my clan.
It's my clan too, bud. Hate to
I
break it to
didn't.
you.
I didn't insult any clan. I just said that man was a traitor if he was working with
We
werewolves.
do whatever the fuck we want to do.
By working with those monsters,
If it suits some of us, it suits some of us.
kindred and werewolves do not mix. And it's illegal in most Camarilla cities.
Camarilla
Is
cities.
indeed. Which happens to be the one you're currently living in. If you needed a reminder of that.
No. But there is
Werewolves
much
are
more
meant
than
to be.
meets the eye.
Werewolves are meant to be hunted, not worked with.
If there's a gain, there's something to gain from. But like I said,
Colette is going to make a very strong mental note of that comment.
but there's the thing.
Just like uncomfortable.
The Bruja walks their own way. Everyone is different. Everyone walks their own path. I'm here right
Still
now.
gotta follow the law, though.
No. Not necessarily.
When it comes to werewolves, you do.
If you only knew, Sparta. If you only knew. Alejandro puts on this music and just looks away.
All right.
I just look forward and just don't say nothing else.
Nyx is literally the embodiment of complete confusion. Like, she is literally is not understanding shit. Hate it.
And Colette is stone-faced once again, and she is just staring straight ahead after the comments that she just heard. Those are some pretty big comments to make. All right. So you guys quietly drive the rest of the way. And I'd say by this time you're arriving. And you've seen up ahead of you, Lindsay's cars have kind of like disappeared into a weird driveway that you didn't realize existed. that you drive past because you're not welcome. You don't have VIP access.
VIP for us assholes.
So you regular folk, you just gotta park on the street. Like the peasants you are. So Colette finds an area to chill and to park. And she pauses before she gets out. She says, is there anything else anybody wants to say before we go inside?
Nope.
Perfect.
I'm just gonna make the comment to Lindsay about, you know, maybe the idea that this guy is using or working or staying with the Thin Bloods, and maybe we could investigate in that area. But apart from that, I'm a wallflower today.
All right. So you guys are
Only
gonna.
thing,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm only gonna say one thing, and this is actually considering the history of what's going on and who I represent. Not gonna lie, this might be the end of me, because they might be believing history is repeating itself.
Well, the wars ended between the Ventrue and the Bruja. Things have since been repaired. They haven't been repaired with the Gangrel. So, I don't think you have quite as much to worry about as this fella.
True.
But keep it in the back of your mind just in case. And Colette's gonna like push the door open and get out. And I think before we get into what's gonna happen, even though we're not at our 2 hour, let's do a quick quick break, and then we'll finish up what we're doing.
Yeah.